All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. More episodes of Threshold, the TV series from the early 2000s. We're going to cover today, as well as the Honeymilk Ranch Ozark update. I got a new camera that I finally got to film with, and some new announcements, and of course some coffee talk live today. Good morning, everybody. What else are we going to cover today? Well, a bizarre Fox News tarot card reading. They literally pulled a tarot card out of the deck on Fox News. One of you sent me this information. I had no idea this happened. And I was like, are you kidding me? And I had to see it with my own eyes. This happened about a week ago. We're going to break down that, which is just unbelievable because, a significant portion of the Fox News audience are Christians and Bible believers. And divination is strictly forbidden by the Bible. Now, we observe and we look at these tarot cards and decode them and break them down, but by no means do we live our lives by tarot cards or try to divine using tarot cards. We're simply observing how they're using them to use their sorcery. So we're going to be looking at what they had to say. So this is an abomination, of course, leading Christians astray. We already live in a community where people are riding this gray line of divination, like truly owning tarot cards, pulling them to live their life, astrology. This has infiltrated the Christian community, and it needs to stop. So I'm going to show you what they're doing and how they're leading Christians astray, and we'll get down to the bottom. And let's say good morning to everybody. What's going on? Now, today we're going to start with the Honeymilk Ranch update first, and we're going to look at the trail cam. I caught 2 more bucks fighting, so let's check this out. This is with the new camera. Well, you guys, first things first. Finally got this situation figured out with this camera. And so this is the new camera, and as you can see, it is much more stable. It's flat. It doesn't have all the stuff going on with the curvature of the camera and all that. So I'm pleased that this finally came in. Now, the camera that I'm using is called the DJI Pocket 2, and I have to say the only reason why I wouldn't recommend this camera to everybody is because you can only set it up with a phone, Samsung S21 Ultra, and I would have never really purchased a phone like this, although I can hook this phone up to my Verizon when I want to, when I need a phone at some point, and I may do that because my Moto is getting old and not functioning properly, and it doesn't have a lot of storage on it. So I may switch over at some point. Anyway, I tell you that story because this particular phone is one of the only phones, unless you have an iPhone, that will hook up to this camera. And I can't show you the camera, obviously, because I'm holding it in my hand. But it's a pocket camera. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's super tiny. And it has a gimbal on it. And that was the whole point of this, was to have something with a gimbal without having to buy a separate gimbal. But you end up having to buy a new phone or a separate phone to get the software even to load. Now, I'm telling you all this so you can understand why it took me so long to get you guys footage for the Honeymilk Ranch. It's now, I guess this is sleet. Looks almost like snow, but it's in between snow and sleet that's falling. I don't know if you can see this, but this camera also has zoom. So that's cool. So now we can zoom in on the Honeymilk Ranch. There's the blind out there. Now, lots going on out here. There was actually a turkey sighting. I had like about 6 or 8 turkeys that walked through the camera. I'll show those to you now on the camera. Those are some big turkeys. Now, it's not turkey season, so I can't take one. And also more and more buck sightings, multiple bucks coming at night, hanging out down there in that lower area down there. Those are 2 bucks fighting. You can barely make out the horns, and it's blurred because they're fighting. There's a big buck there. And there's 2 bucks, probably 3, off to the right there. So, very cool. And so I can't wait to show you guys some footage. Gosh, let me show you the punching bag. Look, see the crows out there. Crows are out there messing around. Those crows are so smart. They can essentially hear and see everything. As soon as I open this door, they would all fly off, even from this far away. But I'm not going to go out there and mess with the crows. But anyway, some snow's falling here. Let's get into what else is going on the Honeymilk Ranch. Let's see here. All right, well, things are coming along. Gosh, kitchen is coming in a few weeks. So got some basic cabinets. One's going to go up in that corner up there. And then there's going to be like a L-shaped bar area coming out here. And then there's going to be, this stove is going to move to the left, and the sink is going to go right underneath that window. So that's going to be the kitchen. And everything else you see will be put away nicely and stacked away. This will be a bar area here. Gosh, this camera is so much better. Right here will be like a bar coming out, so that in the kitchen, cooking, and, you know, guests here, dining room, like over here. Now here's what I'm really excited to show you guys. The garage is in effect. It took Scott approximately 6 hours of work to get that garage door installed, this garage door installed, and one of the openers in. Scott is a rock star. It works perfectly. He's installed garage doors for 43 years, he said. So I can imagine Scott's probably in his 60s or 70s. Anyway, he comes by. Look at that snow cracking off here. Ooh, it's chilly out here, you guys. I'm in a t-shirt. So, good job, Scott. Here's the punching bag set up. Let me back up and show you guys this. This garage closed. This garage, okay. Good. I don't want any water coming in there. There's the punching bag. This thing is so much fun. I'll do a video for you guys, me punching on this thing. But essentially, you know, that is fun. So, I've gotten to the point where I don't even really need to wear gloves. But, you know, it's always good to wear gloves just to be safe. Now, somebody messaged me and said I should tape my wrists or whatever, because when you get older, it like beating on this bag without wrist tape can mess up your wrists or whatever. So I guess I'm going to start taping up my wrists at least before I start punching on this bag. I'll have to watch some videos on how to do that, but I don't like use straps or anything, but a lot of fun. All right, so at some point I'm going to need to have Scott build me some kind of a like storage something. This is Max's room out here. He says he can throw together a small building for pretty cheap and put it out here, and I can park the riding lawnmower out there and make it like a kind of a tool shop kind of place, you know. And what else is going on? There's my Hunter Orange and some of my crossbow stuff. What else? Well, we'll do a fireside chat, and I have kind of a special announcement for you guys. At some point, it's wet out there, so I don't want to sit out in the rain, you know, and sit in the fire. But at some point, I want to make a special announcement to you guys. Now, at first, I'm not going to share too much information. I just think that some things are best kept private to a certain degree, but I do want you to know that God is good and He answers our prayers. And sometimes we have to be super patient. I know I was starting to become bitter, and some of you guys could probably tell in my search for a helpmeet. But God is good, isn't He? I love you guys. Take care. Now you're probably noticing the blind there is open. That thing actually blew off of its spikes in the ground and blew all the way across the yard, and I had to chase this out in the middle of the cold and reattach it. I guess I didn't have it spiked in the ground well enough, but if you got blinds out still, some of us still do, because archery season goes all the way through February, then you're probably going to want to make sure, because there's been some pretty high winds out here. I'm sure you could see the trees swaying in the background and stuff. But anyway, that's the update on the Honeymilk Ranch. Good morning, everybody. Now, let's get into the rest of today's show. So, several years ago, when Trump signed 5G, 6G, and beyond, alongside the development of the vaccine, we realized that there was a connection between the two, didn't we? Now, I uploaded this decode on the movie Cell, and I wanted to share that with you because the cell signal that modifies DNA is also the theme in the new TV series Threshold that we've been decoding. Well, let's take a look, you guys. This is crazy. This is the decode we did on the movie Cell. Lean and mean. So let's get into Cell. Now, what you're going to see in this decode is Donald J. Trump's initials in reverse on a tree at the end of the film. Haven't been eating as much lately. It's probably a good thing, right? Lean and mean. So let's get into Cell. Now, what you're going to see in this decode is Donald J. Trump's initials in reverse on a tree at the end of the film. And I'll show you that at the end of the decode. But first, let me give you the backdrop of Cell. John Cusack is on the way to a new job. And all of a sudden, he's in the airport and he witnesses everybody in the airport begin to act erratically. They seem to be taken over by some kind of mind control. Let's take a look. They all zombie out, as you just saw. And pretty soon he figures out that the cause is coming through people's cell phones. Now, he's able to escape, and he teams up with a small group of these other people who made it out as well. One of the survivors is Samuel Jackson, who is a train operator. And so as they begin to navigate through the streets, they see something really weird. These cell zombies circling around each other. Watch. Oh, shit. Now, this behavior continues. I'm going to play that back so you can see this, because you guys have all seen this before. Where have we seen circling phenomenon? Well, people and animals are circling in this weird phenomenon. And nobody can explain why. A flock of sheep in China has been filmed walking continuously in a circle for 12 days. This is Newsweek. Baffling people across the globe. Now, when did this phenomenon happen? This was back in, let's see. This was at the end of 2022 in November. The sheep were walking in a circle on a farm in Inner Mongolia, North China. Now, we know that China is the home of the first 5G technology, were they not? And remember, Trump signed a legislation to follow China, to be, quote unquote, competitive. Notice how they always use the right-left competitive paradigm. to get us to agree to things. Hey, if we want to be competitive with China, we got to go 5G, 6G, and beyond, don't we? It says here that the sheep have been displaying this behavior since the eve of the 5th of November. A portal date, the date of Samhain. Moving for 12 days. Do you think this is a sign? If I ever saw one, this was a sign. Now, I kind of missed this story. We didn't report on it. A lot of other people, a lot of other channels did report on it. And I probably should have reported on it. I kind of dropped the ball on this one. But hindsight is 2020. And here you see the video of the sheep walking in a perfect circle, just like the people in the Cell movie from years and years and years ago, walking in a perfect circle around the cell signal. Now, nobody really knows why this is happening. They have their theories. They say it's one sheep following another and another, but nobody can really explain why this is happening. Don't you think it's weird that CERN was spawning off weird storms in a perfect circle above CERN in Switzerland years ago? Remember when we reported on that? Are the two connected? Are these two connected? These two phenomena? I don't know the answer to that. I'm not a scientist. But I see patterns as well as all of you do. Now here's the excuses that they give here. Some experts have put the behavior down to listeriosis, a bacterial disease, also known as circling disease. So now they're linking this to a disease, and this brings us back to the zombie apocalypse disease. And people acting like zombies, will they be circling as well? Remember in the movie I Am Legend? And they did the same thing. Will Smith chases the German Shepherd into the warehouse, and they're all hovered in a circle, chanting. Let's keep reading here. The bacteria can infect sheep through the soil, food, and feces, with circling just one symptom of the disease. Others include lack of appetite, depression, and lack of coordination. While listeriosis can cause circling in livestock, recovery is rare, and its effects are fast-moving. The disease usually causes death within 2 days, so it does not explain how the sheep have continued walking in circles for so long. Let's see if this plays here. Look at this. So now we have a connection. Now there's more circling scenes in this movie. Let's get back into it. It's unbelievable.
The pulse flows through them like they're this big organic, network.
Like a hive mind.
What the hell are you doing?
So they start talking about the hive mind and all this, okay, which is the hallmark of this whole thing. Network technology, the hive mind, hardwiring us into that somehow, some way, which I believe explains a lot of these violent outbreaks. All right. Now, what else is going on here? Well, they figure out that this cell signal is networking humanity into a hive mind, as you just heard. The three then find refuge in a school where thousands of zombies congregate on a stadium field at night. This professor here is poking one of them with his stick. And what you don't see in this scene is the rest of the zombies laid out in the center of the field, of the stadium field, inside of the track. And that's when we see the injection programming. The clue that this would be about being poked, that one component of all this would be about being poked. Now, the scene goes like this. The principal here pokes his sword cane into one of the zombies.
What the hell are you doing?
No, he's down. I could put my sword cane right through his throat and he wouldn't try to stop me.
Okay. There are the zombies. He says, I could put my sword cane through his throat and he wouldn't even try to stop me. Now, what is a sword cane? Well, we've been talking about canes, haven't we, you guys? The cane of the umbrella. Right? The cane of the umbrella is code for the bloodline of Cain. The umbrella is a syringe, has the same parts as a syringe. So in essence, the sword cane is the delivery mechanism of the bloodline of Cain into humanity. If you can believe that. Let me check in with you guys. We're going to keep going with this. This is going to be a very, very important show. Because we're breaking all this down. I'm breaking it down slowly so you can understand what's really happening here. So, the zombies are in this field and they're in a state of hibernation, and they do this every single night in the film. Okay? And if you really think about what's happening here in this scene, this is a football stadium. What do they play with football? The pigskin, the unclean. So essentially what you're looking at here on a spiritual level are the 2,000 pigs that Jesus sent the demons into in the Bible, the unclean spirits. They are possessing these people through their cell phones in this scene on a spiritual level. So this is where things get really creepy. And this was a very troubling decode that I did, but you guys need to hear it because it is the shape of things to come. So the zombies are in this state of hibernation, and they're all singing a particular song in unison. Watch.
You'd be so sure of that.
On their phones?
Don't worry, they won't wake up.
In my dream, he was poking my neck with a knitting needle and calling me insane.
So they're discussing their dreams here, and another poking of the needle reference. What would that have to do with the movie about cell phones? Unless you have eyes to see and you understand that the poking of the needle is what's happening right now. Let's keep watching.
In a red hoodie?
Push me in front of a speeding train.
So this is the song that all the zombies were singing in the field that were coming through their cell phones as they lay in stasis. And it's by a Russian. Not only was it just by a Russian, but a particular Russian. Keel. Like kill? Edward Kill. And guess when Edward Kill died? At 77 years old. John Cusack was born in 66. That Apollo number again. So, they decide to torch the entire field, okay, filled with zombies. And how are they going to do that? Well, the principal, you ready for this? Launches a flaming tipped toxon bow and arrow. That's what starts the fire. The principal becomes Apollo, the tip of the spear, the tip of the arrow, the rider on the white horse carrying a toxon bow. Now, in reviewing, this is me live again, in reviewing this decode that we did, as you just saw, there are two shots and a booster, right? Him piercing the leg, her talking about a needle in the neck, and the arrow shooting into the crowd. Two shots and a booster.
No one knows better than me that you can't stop progress.
Can't make this up, you guys.
But still,
We've been talking about this, haven't we? All of this. Let's keep watching.
you're never too old to fight it.
Shit.
So in a strange twist of fate, the gas truck explodes, and the principal is impaled by the axle of the truck. The spear in the chest, which of course we've identified as code for spirit possession. It's the serpent in the chest. It's Superman, serpent in the chest. Because it turns the person into like a Superman, doesn't it?
No! Neil Stevenson, you like him?
So, before all this happens, this is a flashback scene here. Before all this happens, as they're planning on what to do with the zombies, they bring up an individual by the name of Neil Stevenson. Listen and watch.
Neil Stevenson, you like him?
Neil Stevenson is a god.
He's pretty good.
This is Neil Stevenson, and he was born on Halloween. He was also a consultant to Jeff Bezos. He was admired by Bill Gates. And he is credited with coining the terms metaverse, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and avatar. In other words, this man's writings and words predicted the future of the shape of things to come. The world we have now was all planned out by this individual who they call a god, born on Halloween, born on Samhain, the beginning of Samhain. Now, if you think that this revelation excludes Donald Trump, you are sadly mistaken. Because inside Trump's COVID relief bill was a funding measure for a study on blockchain, as well as the Internet of Things. And of course, he passed 5G, 6G, and beyond. So let's move on here, because the group then finds they basically link up with another group, and the other. Uh-oh. What happened? Sound went out. Let's try to refresh this. Can you guys hear me? Hold on. The name raccoon, and it spells corona. It's the last animal pictured in a film that came out long before any of this ever happened. So John Cusack splits off from the group to find his son, John Jr. So there's two Johns, Trump's middle name, and he's armed with an ice cream truck full of explosives. And his idea is to find the hive leader, detonate the ice cream truck, and destroy the signal. That's his plan. And the entire horde of zombies is circling the antenna, as you can see here, all night long. There's John with the ice cream truck. Now, I couldn't figure out what the symbolism of the ice cream truck was. If you guys have any ideas and you can help out, I would love to hear what your ideas are on what the ice cream truck symbolism means. Uh-oh. Did I say that I went silent? Uh-oh. Brother. I did out at right before Corona. You guys heard me talk about and circling. So bar part. Okay, so that was pretty much it. Talking about, hopefully you heard, right? That's a contract. Sorry about that. I don't know. Biden symbolize eating ice cream. All right, let's see here. That he's with, that they can find. So John Cusack tells the group that he's with that they can find him because they get separated here. As Cusack takes the ice cream truck with him, he says, "You can find me by painting Donald J. Trump's initials in reverse on a tree every few miles on the left side of the road." Watch.
Take this. I want you to spray paint T, J, and D for Tom, Jordan, and Denise on a tree, always on the left-hand side of the road, because that's where I'll be looking.
So what does the left-hand side of the road imply? That implies that you're supposed to reverse the initials, right? So TJD is really DJT, Donald J. Trump.
Look, don't go.
And there it is right there. Now, I didn't put this in here. This is in the movie. Literally, Trump's initials backwards. You guys, he wasn't even elected yet in this movie. And now, given the fact that Trump passed 5G, 6G, and beyond, which are cell signals, this 2016 film, the year he got elected, is very uncanny, isn't it? Now, as I told you a little bit earlier, John's son in the movie is also named John, as you just heard, which is Trump's middle name. John and John is J and J.
I'm so glad.
Dad, there's another.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I'm so glad you're going to meet my friends, Johnny.
Now, in John Cusack's mind, he thinks that he's detonated the bomb and destroyed the hive and the signal, which reunites him with his son. That's why he's walking with his son down the railroad tracks. But none of that is true. None of that is real. It's all in his mind, because he's actually circling the antenna still with the rest of the horde. Now, for those of you that are of the faint of heart, what you're going to see next is going to be troubling for you if you do not have hope in Jesus Christ. Because the song that plays in the closing credits of the movie The Cell, or Cell, is Never Walk Alone. This was in 2016. 5 years later, during the real pandemic, this very song was used as an anthem of support for the medical staff in the UK who were fighting COVID-19. So I dug deeper with this song. This is where I almost fell out of my chair, because the song Never Walk Alone has a album cover of a carousel. Animals and people circling in a circle underneath an umbrella, which is essentially what the horde was doing when it was circling the antenna. This is the song that they used during the pandemic. It was like they were on a carousel. Now, hopefully you guys can see the mockery and gaslighting here. And you can see that nobody could make all this up. Never Walking Alone, you guys, is all of us in this together. And there's the carousel, all in this together. The COVID carousel. Once you get on, you don't get off. So, what is the cell really about? And how does that fit into the year of the rabbit that we had identified last week? Rabbit week 11, we're going to the word rabbit in El Paso, virus death and bleeding from the nose. We've seen return to their pre-floods. She can't even believe it herself. You know, what befuddles me is, so I'm just fast forwarding through this decode. There's one other part of this I want to show you guys, because this was a very important decode. And I think this is it right here. And then I'll show you threshold. I'm not making this up. Church behind the dunce cap. I think that this burning church behind the dunce cap, here you can see this angle. Here's another angle of the burning church behind the dunce cap. I believe that this burning church is the Trumpen Church. I'm making this up. Of Scotland. In which an entire church full of MacLeods, which is Trump's mother's maiden name, her clan, they were burned alive in this church. The only survivor was a single girl. Trumpen Church. Makes you wonder, right? Was this single girl who survived, this MacLeod girl, who survived this church burning in 1578, was this Trump's ancestor? Was it his mother's ancestor, Mary Ann MacLeod? Now, what was this church burning about? Well, there was a feud between two clans. The MacDonalds, of course it had to be MacDonald, right? And the MacLeods. And the MacLeods, who got burned in the church, actually got revenge. How? They chased and slaughtered the entire MacDonald clan. And they dragged their corpses through a turf dike. Now, the location of this church is very important. It encodes the 5G. 5-7 is 5G. 7 is G in the alphabet. And by some weird coincidence, the church in Google Earth sits at 258 degrees. So we have the numbers 57 and 58, both Trump numbers appearing in this story, this ancient story of a burning church. Now, here's the real question. The modern day connections to all this. That is the real question. What are the modern day connections to all this? And its premonition of the Trump presidency and iPad Go 2 that we see on the chalkboard. To me, this is as clear as day. This was a premonition of a presidency that had not happened. Elected on Duns Day, and the church burning, the Trump in church. Well, in typical Trump Gemini fashion, he has basically turned on the evangelicals. I don't know if you guys have heard the news, but now he's starting to shame the evangelicals for not supporting him. So that was a video that I did. Let's see, when did this air? This aired almost a year ago. I'll put a link to this video if you guys want to watch the full live stream of that video. But let's get into some other stuff. Let me check in with you guys. And then we're going to connect all this to the Threshold series, TV series from the early 2000s, because it had the same exact themes. Basically, cell phone signals altering human behavior and DNA. Let's take a look.
It was copper colored. It's about the size of a football. There was a piece of metal down there, an object in it.
What kind of object?
So here, this guy is talking about an artifact, copper colored, about the size of a football. I mean, you can't make this up. The unclean pigskin, the copper color, and this becomes the vehicle by which people become infected in this particular episode. Infected with the cell signal.
Describe it to me.
It kept changing. Changing shape. It wasn't made of copper because it wasn't heavy enough, and it looked real old, and...
Shapeshifters. Changing shape.
What's all this?
19 years of Karen Reynolds.
And you don't think you're getting too personal?
You're going to hear this number 19 repeated over and over again. Again, this was the early 2000s, like 2005, 6, this came out. And you're going to hear the number 19 repeated in here, and then also in tomorrow's Decode.
Have Lucas and Ramsey go over everything again, every cell phone we collected. Check for any evidence they've been compromised. Yeah, let me know what they find. The signal is spreading not through people, but through machines, devices. Focus on electronics, TV, radio, internet. Look for anything out of the ordinary that's happened in the last 24 hours. Ramsey, can you isolate that ATM network?
If someone at the party had one of those cards, the microchip would have caught the signal just like the phones did. Next time someone used that card to get cash, that's it. The signal would have downloaded into the ATM.
Wow. Now, obviously the cell phone signal is the infection, or part of the infection. It's also an injection. There has to be an injection and the signal. This is what's mind controlling people. And I was about halfway through the series, and so that'll get you guys caught up to that. And this was a very difficult series to kind of get through, but I'm hopefully going to finish it up today and have a decode on the rest of it tomorrow. So that's what I'm working on getting through today. I have a couple more episodes to go. So where's all this headed? And we'll start to finish up the show here. Well, the Electric Kingdom, of course. And they're not backing down from this, you guys. They are not backing down. Nor will Trump back down when he becomes president. Now, why do I say this? Well, because he had a chance to back down during his presidency from the Electric Kingdom, didn't he? When the U.S. government was subsidizing electric vehicle production to the tune of billions of dollars. Yes, Elon Musk got billions of dollars from President Trump to develop electric vehicles that nobody in Trump's base wanted. Let's take a look. Here are the statistics. The Trump years, 2017 to 2021, at this part of the graph. And here you can see There was continued investment. Public electric vehicle ports and stations continued to increase, and in fact peaked at the end of his presidency, toward the end, 2020, 2021, in this graph. Spending on research and development and deployment spiked under his presidency during the same years. There's no other way to look at this. There's no other way to slice it. Here is another graph here. Here's the research and development and deployment. This is funding awarded for electric vehicles. And here you can see 2017 through 2021. In red is research and development. In blue is deployment. And as you can see, it continued to increase. In fact, it was at an all-time low during his first year in office, and then he threw money at it. This is why he and Elon Musk like each other. And this is why you have to look at what they do and not what they say. Because Trump's own base hates electric cars. I hate electric cars. Of course, I don't vote. But he continued to spend the money to develop them and prop up a market that wasn't natural. Federal and state governments have generous handouts for electric vehicles. This article dated 2019, right in the middle of his presidency. And yes, he threatened to do away with the electric car subsidy. He threatened to do away with the EV tax credit, which was like $7,500. But then by the end of it, he claims support for electric cars and takes credit for Obama-era EV tax credit that he never did away with, even though he threatened to do away with it. Now, I have to show people these facts because people get lost in emotion and they're not looking at what a person's doing. They're just looking at what they're saying, right? So he bragged about how he supported electric vehicles toward the end of his presidency and the tax credit. And now, here we are again, another flip-flop, incoming flip-flop. 4 years later, he is again pretending he will do away with the tax credit. This is dated January 5th, 2024. Donald Trump wants to rip up EV tax credit. So, the master of flip-flop. He hates it, he loves it. He hates it, he loves it. You can't vote for a person that flip-flops like that. You might as well vote for nothing. The electric kingdom is here to stay, you guys. It is here to stay. This is the Department of Energy head. As soon as this loads, hopefully it'll load. Why it's not loading. This is her here. Uh-oh, do we lose internet? Let's refresh this page here. Oh boy. This is her here. Take a good look. They're doubling down, throwing money now at heat pumps. Next generation heat pumps that they say work in the cold. Why do we not want heat pumps? Because they are electric. This takes away your ability to use natural gas, which eventually they'll turn off the natural gas. And you are now on a grid that can be controlled. In other words, you can't last 3 or 4 months or a year on natural gas stored in a propane tank. And they have no excuse to turn off the natural gas if you're hooked into city natural gas. Because that's all underground, so they can't turn that off to control you. But with electricity, they can do anything they want. They can say that the grid went down, or they can blame it on a foreign country. And now they're saying, doubling down on these heat pumps that they say work in the cold. Oh, don't worry. These work in the cold. And take a good look at this woman's face, because we already identified her. This is the Energy Department lady. We identified her in the tarot, or not the tarot cards, the Illuminati playing cards. Cold fusion. And yes, she was the one who announced that they have achieved cold fusion. Take a good look, because this is likely the same woman. Yes, I know she's not wearing glasses, but look at the eyes. It's always in the eyes. What the heck is going on? Now, many of you probably showed up to the show to see this Fox News, and I cannot even believe this. For the first time in Fox News history, I want to make sure you guys are with me first, and we'll keep going with this. For the first time in Fox News history, they're resorting to divination. They brought a witch onto the stage to read tarot cards, which is strictly forbidden by the Bible. The Bible says those who use divination without the direction of the Most High, in other words, using some kind of technique or method that does not include God or Jesus, that's divination. That's the definition. Just in case you're unclear about that. That they will be burnt up as stubble. Burnt up as stubble. Let's take a look at what they did on Fox News. Look at this. Wow.
Paula Roberts is the English psychic who is on set to give...
I can't even believe what I'm looking at here. All the Christians that follow Fox News just got a dose of basically this satanic ritual. Now we're going to break this down because he asks her to pull out a card for Donald Trump and his future. And watch what happens next.
Give us a reading right now. I would like, Paula, for you to give me a reading on President Trump.
Now I'm pausing this intermittently because with my luck, this will get copyrighted, and this is going to be a very important show. I don't want the algorithms hiding the show that we're doing today because this is very, very important. And let's continue on here.
Just the one card.
One card.
One card. Let's do just one card. We like that one.
I mean, how creepy is this? Now watch the card that she pulls out.
Oh.
It is V or 5. And there's a dark figure with these cups strewn about. Now we just covered the V series, didn't we? V for visitor, V for vaccine. There were reptilians who gave humanity these forced vaccinations. And they healed them with med beds right next door to Trump International Hotel. And the globe that sits in front of that hotel is featured prominently in the V Visitors series, TV series that we just decoded. Now, I understand that this card is supposed to represent a person who dwells in the past and cannot break free, which to me connotates a time traveler, a person that dwells in the past and can't break free. Self-pity, regret. But these cups are mentioned. And they, I believe, also could represent vials. The vials of the vaccine. Let's watch and see what this lady has to say about this.
What is that?
I mean, I do recognize that I'm at Fox TV. I a sense of loss.
Wow, just unbelievable. Let's listen to what she has to say here.
A sense of loss, but it's very specific. No, let me move on. It's a sense of loss. It's as if he may.
Okay, sorry I have to keep pausing you guys. For those of you that don't know, the reason why you pause it is because you get about 8 to 9 seconds that you can play someone else's stuff without getting it recognized by the algorithms. And it's been that way for many, many years.
Maybe thinking more about what he's lost and not still taking full advantage of what he still has.
So
that's a great.
So that's pretty much what she has to say, which falls in line with what the accepted interpretation is of that card. Someone dwelling in the past, and the past, like, and then just getting bitter about it and all that. Now, I'm not going to put a link. There's lines I have to draw about this, about decoding these things, because I don't want to spread people's desire to divinate, right? Which is what Fox News absolutely did. So I'm not going to link this particular page, but I will link this episode of Fox News. Now, she goes on to pull other cards for Biden, and she says that Biden's going to be super rich, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, come on, like, the guy's nearly dead. Even if he became super rich, who's going to spend it, right? It's just dumb. And then she pulls a card for the future of America, and they say, oh, America will be abundant. We're on the verge of abundance for 2024. So my guess is that everything that she said will be completely opposite of the truth. Trump will get reelected. Biden will become dead or poor or out of office, and it's going to be a bad year for 2024. Basically, it's like the opposite is what I believe is going to happen. Whatever is going to happen, that was the most bizarre Trump ritual I've ever seen. The power that this man must have to convince Fox News to do the first ever on-air tarot card reading, tempting Christians to delve into the occult, which of course is forbidden by God. So, more confirmation that we were on the right track with all this in exposing Trump's connection to the tarot cards. Many of you will remember the XIX card that we found, which is card 19. It's the card of the sun, and it had a baby on it with a crown carrying a bow on a white horse in front of a brick wall. So I think we pretty much nailed that, because now Fox News is pulling tarot cards. It's unbelievable. Now, look at the rating on this video. I have a thing in my browser that can actually see the actual ratings, which YouTube took away from us, right? Look at this. At least people are awake. Almost half the ratings are thumbs down. This is like one of the worst ratings you can get. People are upset, and I'm sure that the comments are nuts. Let's see if the comments are even turned on. They probably turned off the comments. Let's see here. What's going on here? Let's figure this out. It's just shocking where we've come to in this world. It has to be close to the end. Okay, there's 2,000 comments on here. So the comments are turned on. Oh boy, she tried to add a spoonful of sugar. Remember the Mary popping you with pins decodes that we did? Mary popping you with pins, the spoonful of sugar to make the medicine go down with her umbrella syringe. All of that was programming. So then you get the people that hate on the Fox News, of course. You're going to get them in the comments. What else here? Here we go. This guy gets it. How is this not considered satanic by Fox's born-again Christian base? He's absolutely 100% correct. In plain sight. Now, here's where I think all this is headed. Because you're like, okay, Casey, so what? As I told you, what Trump represents is judgment. It's basically, he's almost gaslighting Christians on purpose to get you to still vote for him, even though everything he does is against what a Christian should be. There's no fruitage of the Spirit, correct? There's no, he's a rich man, which very few will go to heaven, the Bible says. And now divination. And still Christians will vote for him. And it's like they will be judged for that. Basically and also the man savior complex, seeing him as their savior instead of Jesus. He basically hits all the marks of, if you vote for him, you're basically turning on God. That's pretty much what he's doing. And still, to this day, I'm sure there's probably someone said there's a troll in here. Even after I showed you all that, there'll be some people in the chat today mad at me because I'm covering this and exposing Trump. Or they'll say, do you think Biden's better? No, Biden's not better. But are you still going to vote for a man who did all that? Many still will, and that'll be between you and God. Because that's what I believe this is all about. Now, as I said, tomorrow I'm going to try to finish up the Threshold series, button up the final decode about how the cell signal is the virus, and they also get into food being infected, GMO food having something to do with being infected as well. And also there'll be several films that I will be decoding in the coming weeks. The True Detective, there's a new season on True Detective that's coming up. Also Rebel Moon, a new movie coming out, or it might already be out. Also, a couple of you asked me to look at an old film called 2 Weeks Notice, Society of the Snow, and Landscape of the Invisible Hand. So these are all things I'll be working on in the next couple of weeks. Let's go into the chat. Sorry, this was a long show. I was all over the place. Hopefully it came through loud and clear. I love each and every one of you guys. So, you guys have any questions for me before I get off of here? I mean, Trump is literally hitting all of the deadly sins or whatever, right? Like almost every single one. I can't even believe it. All right. All right, what else is going on, you guys? Yeah, for many people, they started to wake up when he did Warp Speed, but for a lot of people, that still wasn't enough. Friends and family dying and suffering under Warp Speed is all we could say. And it's like there's a blank. It's almost like people's minds have been lobotomized. Like they can't even come to terms with that. Either they don't believe that it did that to people, or they say he had to do it, but still it's still murder. It just is. You can't slice it any other way. Yeah, we have some great videos on Trump being Janus, the whole Gemini aspect, the two faces. So definitely check out the playlist on Trump that we have here on the channel. All right. Yeah, it's just spiritual blindness. They don't see the cubes in the Warp Speed logo. They don't see the Reiki symbol in the logo. I'm stretching things is what I get. People keep telling me. I'm stretching things. Or you're Trump, you have Trump derangement syndrome. No, I don't. Because Biden is probably worse, but in a different way. At least Biden's not deceiving the people on the right. They see him for what he is. Far left, morally degrading this country, the electric kingdom, but Trump's doing the same thing. And deceiving people on the right on top of it. So. Yeah, people can't afford groceries anymore. Everything's gone up. You go to the store and get 2 bags of grocery, 2 bags, and you pay $100. So What else is going on, you guys? Yes, the video that he did saying he was sent by God. I've heard about that video. I've not watched it. We stick to more of the esoteric aspect to him, the stuff that most people don't see. When he comes right out and blasphemes God right in front of everybody, that's like obvious, right? So I'm probably not going to cover stuff like that as much, but people are waking up. They're seeing what's going on. Because that is blasphemous, isn't it? When you say you're sent by God, you're essentially calling yourself a prophet. Even with all of this stuff that we reveal on the channel, I tell you that it's God inspired, but I'll never ever tell you I was sent by God to you and you have to listen to me and worship me. Okay? I'm just a person trying to do the will of God. I don't try to elevate myself to some kind of deity. And apparently that's what he's done, saying he was sent by God for this very purpose, to be your president. And that's blasphemy. But still, people will not wake up. They won't. Some people won't. They have this overwhelming desire to cast their vote in support of him, which will be between them and God. I'm just here to warn people about what I see happening to Christianity in America. And those that have been lied to and deceived to. It is the false form of Christianity. The true form of Christianity are those of us that see past the right-left paradigm. We don't choose a side. All right, you guys, that was a long show, so I'm going to pop off of here. I love each and every one of you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get on these episodes. I got 2 more episodes to go and some editing and show prep, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same exact time. Have a great rest of your day. Take care and be safe, you guys.